This is Shir 12 in our series on Avodas Habitachon. In this Shir, we're bringing various sources confirming that a person can rely on Hashem to the point where an outcome becomes Vadai Toiv, certainly good. And at some point, we're going to have to analyze if the Chazon Ish is arguing with them or if there's a way to answer the words of the Chazon Ish with these commentators. In the Sefer HaMaspik L'Oidei Hashem, in Perek Habitachon, the author describes a Ma'ale Shlishis, a third level of a Ba'al Bitachon. This is a level where a person is batuach b'hashkochas v'shalei so'av, sure of attaining his requests. The person has absolute clarity that they will receive what they want from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Umamin bezois bevadai. He believes in this with certainty. Ubelis fekos, without doubts. It is for sure going to happen. And he says though that this level most people are not going to get to, and only somebody that it was revealed to him in a vision of nevuah, a prophecy, that they tell him over something about the future, he can get to the level of certainty because he is given a promise straight from Shemayim. The Masba continues that, however, that a high spiritual level can sometimes grant a similar intuition. From the greatness of his faith and holiness, a servant of Hashem will experience a tavoi hargosha mukdemes, a prior feeling. Mikoyach hargosha zu yiftach b'davar hu kefi malish lishis. From the strength of this feeling, he will rely on that matter according to the third level, even without a direct revelation of prophecy. This is exactly what happened with Hillel HaZaken, the Gemara we discussed last night in Shir 11. He was sent that special feeling, the prerequisite for certainty. According to the Maspik, without that special revelation or feeling from heaven, Hillel would not have been able to say he was muftach, certain that there was no tzara, trouble in his house. The Maspik repeats this foundation once again, and he says, as long as the Navi prophet hasn't attained Einay tzarach lemer tzaddik kadosh, it goes without saying that a holy tzaddik, that the strength and feeling, as long as a tzaddik and Navi hasn't been sent the special feeling of nevuah from Shemayim, Hare Yorei Lenashe, he is scared for himself until he is given that special revelation. Rav Itzlav Volozhin, however, in Sefer Peh Kadosh, argues explicitly against the Maspik's interpretation of the Gemara. He says Hillel's certainty was not from a revelation, but rather because of his perfect bitachon. He teaches that bitachon zeh atzmoi siba lahatzala mikol ra. This bitachon itself is a cause for salvation from all evil. It grants total protection. One who has absolute reliance that no harm will occur earns absolute shemira min hamazikin, protection from damagers. This matches the Vilna Gaon and the Gra, which we mentioned last night as well, and the Imrei Noyam, that we also mentioned last year, that the reason some tzaddikim experience troubles is simply because they were not at that intense level of bitachon. Related to this, the Ramban and Rabbeinu Yoina speak about overcoming the fear of sin. These sources establish that bitachon can prevail even when a person is aware of their own spiritual shortcomings. The Ramban in Sefer Emunah Bitachon Perek Aleph, he states, "Habayteach ina yori shema yigram achet." The one who is bayteach is not scared lest the sin cause him harm. K'moisha Amar David, "Mishmua ra lo yira nochoin liba b'tuach b'Hashem." As David said, from bad tidings he shall not fear. His heart is firm and trusting in Hashem. The Ramban brings that pasuk that the Gemara brought by Hillel HaZaken as an explicit proof that a person knows that no bad will come upon him. And if you learn the rest of the parak in the Ramban, you'll see that he says explicitly again, he states that a ma'amin, a believer, is not a boteach because he has a chesaron, a deficiency, that he's scared of shema yigrem achet, lest the sin cause him harm. But a true boteach, yoideya sheyatzileu mitzarosoi, sheyiten loy ritzoin liba b'tevasoi, that he will save him from his trouble, that he will give him his heart's desire in his goodness. Hashem will fulfill whatever he wants in his heart and his desires. And this is also explicit in Rabbeinu Yoina in Mishlei Perek Gimel, that he says the true midah bitachon obligates a person to rely be'emes, truthfully, on the Rachmei Hashem, mercy of Hashem, and the Chasdei Hashem, the kindness of Hashem. Like it says in the pasuk, "Vani bechastecha betachti," and I relied on your kindness. And he adds, "Gam biyois avanoisav rabin v'atzumin." Even when his sins are many and vast, a person can still hope toward the Rachmei Hashem to be safe from a tzara, even if the tzara is kreva, it's close. There's also in Gemara in Yuma on Tesam Beis, when it's talking about contrasting the first and the second Beis Hamikdash, it says, "Rishoyim hayu," they were wicked. They hung their trust, their reliance in Hashem. And it says that they said, "Loi tavoi aleinu ra," no evil will come upon us. And the Mashal and the Ben Yoda say, the Mashal is actually not in Yuma, it's in Shabbos, Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph. It says explicitly that their Bitachon helped them be safe from destruction, even though they were Rishonim. This is also explicit in Rav Shlomo Kluger, in the Chachma Shlomo, on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Tuf Kaf Pei Gimel Aleph, when he discusses eating simanim on Rosh Hashanah, and he says that which it says in the Gemara and in Shulchan Aruch to eat devarim tovim u'metukim, good and sweet things, it doesn't mean like a derech tefillah, that should be a way of a prayer, because that's not a place of tefillah. What it means is that you're showing bitachon ve'emunah shu mamim u'beteach sheken yiyeh, that he believes and relies, and so it will be. The way you eat and you do these simanim, you are sure that this is exactly what's going to happen. And as Rav Shlomo Kluger, for this reason, a person should be accustomed to say on Rosh Hashanah after Tefillah Shachris, Kol man da'avar achmar l'tavo. Everything the merciful one does is for good, for gamzu l'toivo, and this too is for good. And for this reason, they established to eat good and sweet foods, because chas v'shalom, heaven forbid, it was decreed to the contrary. It will be switched through this, and it will be l'toiva again al yedei a person's bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we would just add, incidentally, this is exactly what we explained earlier. The Midas Habitachon is saying Gamzu l'Teva, but the result is Akol Yiyah l'Teva. Everything will be good. And next time we're going to continue more proofs to this idea.